Working with Cantus has been the best investment I've ever made.
So I had no idea how to put together a keynote speech. I didn't know the art or the science. After hearing Cantus and all of the awesome tips that he gave us, I now have more confidence to not just craft my keynote speech, but also be able to deliver it in a way I know my audience will appreciate.
This has been one of the best 3 days that I have probably gained so much more than I ever would probably in 3 years, to be honest.
I've had other coaches, but the thing that stands out most about Cantus is you know that he genuinely wants you to succeed. He does what he does in a way to ensure that there's no person left behind.
I think the thing that made the most impact on my business is hearing Cantus say,
your product solves the problem.
My experiences turn that into a story that can assist someone else.
The presentation, the marketing, how you really connect with your client and take them from point A to point B.
he's so good.
Because Cantus is the one.
Because I realized people fail without a framework and they struggle without a system. So when Cantus walked me through his framework and his system to build a six-figure speaking and coaching business,
It takes you step by step to teach you how to implement the things that you learn so that you can be more effective in what your impact has to be in this world.
What you do before the stage, on the stage, after the stage, every facet of your business is taken care of.
and it's been the best decision I've ever made as an entrepreneur in 20 years of corporate, nonprofit, military experience. Working with Cantus has been the best investment I've ever made.
You go hours past the time that's allotted because he really cares that much, and for me that was big. Nobody really cares that much.
Not only is he the man in front of his business, but I know Cantus to be the man or the machine behind a lot of other people's businesses.
Like, he's gonna put you in the know, No darkness, no secrets, he gives it all to you. You can't lose with Cantus.
I love that. Makeover Mansion. What's going on? If you guys can hear me, type 1 in the chat box. If you guys can hear me, type 1 in the chat box. If you guys can see me, type 2 in the chat box. Type 2 in the chat box. Shout out to all of those we have here live. I see some ones. Thank you. Dr. King, welcome. I love saying Dr. King. Dr. Robin, welcome. What's going on, Robin DK? What's going on, Dr. Husser? Husser. Husser. Shout out to all of those that are here live. Shout out to those jumping on. Shout out to those that are watching this by replay. So what we want to do tonight, I want to talk about the power of products as a public speaker, and specifically on how to turn your message into money-making products, Now, for those of you who are live and those who are watching by replay, let me know in the chat box. Let us jump right into this thing tonight. Let me know in the chat box, if you have a product, what type of product do you have? If you have a product, let me know what type of product do you have. And as a matter of fact, let me grab some products that I have. I'm not sure if you guys have ever fully heard. Not sure if you ever fully heard how I ended up in this industry as a speaker. All right. Shout out. People said that some books, some courses, some programs, books. Okay. Have a podcast and a book. I love it. So one of the things that I learned early on, so when I first started back almost 3 decades ago, somebody says book, coaching, consulting. I love it. Book, coaching, consulting. Robin says a children's book. Congratulations. Dr. Eric King has a podcast. Love it. And a book on Humanity Unveiled. And so as I go back, and it may have been 1998 or so, something like that. And I spoke at this college, and I went to speak at the college. Now, this tells you how long this was ago. Don't judge me. Okay. I went to speak at the college, and the best thing that I ever did in my career was take the time to record my presentation. All right. Now, this was so long ago. I recorded my presentation on a white cassette tape. Okay. That's how long this was ago. Don't laugh at me. All right. Anybody remember the white cassette tapes in the auto reverse tape recorder? So I had this auto reverse tape recorder, and I was speaking at West Georgia College. It's West Georgia State University now. I went there to speak on a topic to a Christian organization, and that evening I spoke on how to make the A God's way. Okay, I spoke on how to make the A God's way, and I was speaking to this Christian organization, and I'm a school guy, right? And so this was after I graduated from grad school. It was after I was working at NASA as a scientist, and they knew that I was a Christian. They knew that I was a speaker, did pretty good in school. They said, "Hey, could you come teach us?" And I'm like, you know what? Let me talk about how to make the A God's way. And I started speaking on biblical principles. And like I said, one of the best things I did was recorded that presentation on an auto or a cassette tape. And did the presentation, had a great time, came home, and the tape sat in my home for multiple months. And so one day my sister-in-law was visiting, and she, being a nosy sister-in-law, shout out to Leah, being a nosy sister-in-law, and she took the audio tape and she played it. She played it back. And I came home from work one day and she was just like, "Hey, kids, this is good." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, this cassette tape is good. The information on here is amazing." And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, everybody knows this information." And one thing I came to realize early on is that what's common for you is not common knowledge for somebody else. All right. And that day was the beginning of um, 20 plus years, almost 30 years of doing this, because what I realized was that because you have some expertise, it's important that you share that information with other people. And I call it your duh, right? The thing that's your duh to you is not duh to somebody else, right? So at the time, my duh was biblical principles on academic success. My duh was on how to get better grades and how to go to college and study the right way. My duh was on how to find college scholarships. And one of the things, if you're taking notes, and you should, uh, matter of fact, in the comments, just drop duh. DUH. Just drop duh in the chat box. But guess what? I took that cassette tape and word for word, I transcribed the cassette tape. And that cassette tape, here it is. That cassette tape ended up becoming this book. Okay, this small book. And the name of the book was Playing Your A Game. So the original speech was how to make the A God's way. And then it transitioned over to Playing Your A Game, biblical principles for academic success. And so this is the exact speech edited, right, into a book from that engagement back in 98, I believe it was. All right. Now, there were a lot of lessons that was learned. So this book come out, and now I see myself as an author. And so I would go to different events. Now you see this book is like I call it a pocket book because it's small enough to fit in the pocket, which was a terrible decision. And so I started going around as an author pushing this book. selling it for $10. And I remember I went to a fair, some kind of fair or something. I was there for 3 hours. And in 3 hours, I sold 3 books. So I made $30. And so I went home. I was like, something not right about this. Something not right about this. Important to connect with somebody that's doing it. I connected with the mentor and was like, Candace, yeah, you're an author, but you are an expert on a certain topic. Rather than seeing yourself as an author, start seeing yourself as a speaker who's an expert in a certain topic, and you have a book that talks about your expertise. So that day I went from being an author to being a speaker who had a book on the topic. And this book, Play Your A Game, Biblical Principles for Academic Success. Then I started speaking at schools. And then now, I was going in $500, $1,000, $2,000, $2,500, $3,700. And, but the book wasn't selling that much at high schools and colleges. Why? Because of the biblical principles that were blatant on the cover, but also in the book. This whole church and state thing. So a great friend of mine was like, you should just take the scriptures out or rewrite the scriptures in the KAS version of the Bible, the Candace Andrew Simmons version of the Bible. And so I took all the scriptures out, added more content, and then I transitioned this book, Play Your A Game, to this book. Okay. And actually, this book, even though I did that presentation in 1998, this book didn't come out until 2005, almost 7 years later from when I did that presentation. So this book with the scriptures, the pocket book, turned into this book. All right. So rather than Biblical Principles for Academic Success, then it turned into Playing Your A Game, How to Stay Motivated, Remain Focused, and Succeed in School and Life. Now, if you're taking notes, and you should, here's one thing I want you to learn. Anytime you're writing a book, and this is free for you, you didn't pay for this, okay? You didn't pay for this. Anytime you're doing a book, your title of the book should be the part that catches the audience, right? Catches the reader, catches your ideal client. I like to say a lot of times that the title of the book is the sexy part, okay? And then the subtitle is exactly what you're helping people with, okay? Your subtitle is exactly what the book is about. So the title is the sexy part, the eye catcher, and then the subtitle is what the book is all about. Now, here's the cool thing about it. During this time period, I took the scriptures out. I wrote the KAS version. I started blogging back in the day, and I started adding articles from my blog into this book. But the subtitle, Stay Motivated, Remain Focused, and Succeed in School and Life, it came about because guess what? When I was interviewing teachers and talking to teachers at these schools, and when I was speaking at these schools, guess what? The teachers would tell me, I would ask them like, hey, what's the biggest issue you have with your students? What's the biggest issue you're seeing in the classroom? They'll say, child, these kids, they're not motivated, they're not focused, and they don't know how to succeed in school. So guess what? If they were telling me that their big problem was staying motivated, remaining focused, and succeeding in school, guess what? Because now my book became the solution to their problem. So guess what? The subtitle became the solution to the problem. Let me know if that was an aha for somebody. If that was an aha for you, type aha in the chat box, right? So anytime you're looking at a book, think about it. When you walk past a bookstore, maybe you're walking through the airport, or maybe in the grocery store, you see it past a bookshelf, you'll see the title. Those are the words that jump off the bookshelf. And then the subtitle talks about the problem. Your subtitle is the solution to what the book is about. All right. So guess what? So now I'm a speaker that has a book. So now when I was going in to speak at the schools, I can now sell them books before I ever got on the stage. Right. So Wrote a book called Play Your A Game, all about academic success and getting better grades. Then I wrote another book. Oh, check this out. So remember the first book was 2005? This book, 2011, right? 2011. So at this time, notice the difference. So we go from this book to this book. Can anybody tell me what you see different about these two books? What do you see different? Outside of the title, outside of the color, what do you see different? Right. You see my face on the book, right? So I started marketing myself as the expert speaker. So that's why I put my face on the book, right? And then, as I started getting older and growing a little hair and losing a little hair, I transitioned from this to this, okay? I dropped the playing and I made it a strong verb, play. Play your A game. How to stay motivated. I picked up on how, right? How to stay motivated, remain focused, and succeed in school and life. All right. So this book was now published in 2000. Oh, wow. 2020. Okay. So we go from 2005 to 2011 to 2020. So that tells you this whole suite is almost, is that 20 years? Wow, I should have a birthday party. Yeah, book is 20 years old, okay? 20 years old. But guess what? The book itself isn't 20 years old, but the message, the expertise, my duh, is 20 years old because that's what I know. Now, check this out. During those time periods when I was speaking, I would go speak somewhere, and then guess what? I would turn my speech, I would record my speech, and my speech would become an audio. So this was before this book, right? So now, as I'm speaking, I'll record all of my presentations. So this is a book, and this is an audio. This is how old, back in the day when we had CDs, okay? And I did a speech, and this was called Better Grades in 7 Days. Matter of fact, no, this wasn't a speech. This was me reading this book out loud in my basement. So this was an audio book. But here's the cool thing about it. As I was reading my book verbatim, there were moments where I was like, I don't want to just read word for word. And so I would read portions of my book and then I would speak. I would motivate and I would go a little deeper. And so this book became this audio, Better Grades in 7 Days. And that was from that presentation. And then one day I spoke on student habits. Talk about 7.25 effective student habits. And so this, you see on the orange there is orange on this side, and this one was red, okay? And that was from a presentation. Then I spoke at a college, and I did a session on why school. I talked about identifying your assignment in school, like how to pick a college major. And that was a live recording, and I turned that into this audio program called Why School. All right. We talk about the purpose of school. And so now I had the red, the orange, the green. And then I have another one around here somewhere, orange. Oh, here it is. Hold on. Maybe in another room. But I did a session with teachers. No, did a session with parents and talking about the role of parents where academic success is concerned. I did another audio on the true role of parents. And then I added that to this audio program, right? And then my brother, who's an amazing musician, we went in the studio and he got on the piano and played for about an hour. And we created a program called Study Sounds. Okay, Study Sounds. So now when people or students are listening or studying, they don't have to listen to the hip hop or rock. We picked out tones, sounds, certain music that he played live, and we turned into study sounds. Now, guess what? We go from this book, my duh, to this book, my duh, to now speaking and recording that and packaging that. Right. So now we have a book, we have an audio. Now, by this time, video is becoming very powerful, right? Video is becoming very powerful. Guess what? Now I'm able to turn my audios up. No, not audios, but online was becoming very popular. So now I can take my audios and upload them to online service, and then now selling the audios as an MP3. Okay, are you guys with me? Are you guys seeing this? Let me know. Type 3 in the chat box if you're with me. You're seeing this, right? Then guess what? After creating the book, voila, we created the audio book, right? Created this audio, excuse me, not an audio book, this workbook. Okay. So now, as I'm working with the schools, I'm realizing, guess what? I can now train the trainer, train the teachers, and now have a workbook to go along with the book. And so now I will package the book, the workbook. It's not the audios, but I will package the video series and put that into a program and a curriculum. So now my duh has been multiplied multiple times, all in a message that I've been talking about the last 30 years. My duh. Okay. Now check this out. I have more does, right? I have more does. One of my does is that I was able to go to college, go to grad school again, earn 3 college degrees, and I didn't pay a single penny to do so. So guess what my duh is? Exposing people to scholarships. Why? Because as I was telling my story as a speaker, here's what I came to realize, that people were not asking me, hey, how did you get into that college? How did you go for free? How did you end up landing your dream job at NASA? How did you get into grad school? How did you get in grad school again? And guess what? My duh, I took the time period now to publish this book, Scholarship Secrets Revealed. The sexy part, Scholarship Secrets Revealed. Subtitle, The Roadmap to Locate, Land, and Lock Down Free College Funding. That's a part of my duh, right? And guess what? Also a part of that duh, I went from this book now to a workbook around my duh. And then this book and this workbook also connects to a course, right? So now I have a video course on my duh. Let me show you one more. We got the academic success topic, my duh. My scholarship success, college funding, my duh. And then, because of my background in science, technology, engineering, math, STEM, guess what? People start asking me, hey, do you have any cool activities? Do you know how we can better speak to our students and get them excited to go into science, technology, engineering, and math? Guess what? Yeah, I do. So I took my duh and I created a STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math book called STEM is Everywhere. Okay? STEM is everywhere. The sexy part, right? Activities to help students learn it, love it, and live it. And so I wrote many experiments that I wrote, some that I found, put them together, published them, edited them, and now I have a STEM book, have a STEM workbook, have a STEM curriculum, a STEM program, all based off of my duh. Now, as you're listening to this, you're watching this, you probably realize and understand that you have some duh, right? You have some duh. And at the end of the day, how are you using your message to create money making products? Create money making products. All right. If you guys enjoyed that part of my story, let me know. Type in the chat box you enjoyed it. Maybe you got some ahas from that. Maybe you got some ahas from that. But guess what? That's how all of this started. All right. Now here's the cool thing about it. Because I have duh in other areas, does on speaking the last 20, 25 years, duh on publishing books, duh on creating courses, duh on creating websites, duh on all these aspects of my expertise, right? My knowledge, my skill set. Guess what? Now I got programs on speaking. Now I have events on speaking, like you saw with Makeover Mansion, right? Now I have courses and information and the tools all on speaking because it's part of my duh. Now, here's what I really want you to sit and think about. And let me know there in the chat box. Outside of what you maybe you already have published, let me know in the chat box. Let me know in the comments area here. What are some does that you have that you didn't realize you have that you could turn into products? Money making products. Right? As I was speaking there, did something come up for you where you realize, like, man, that's part of my knowledge. That's part of my expertise. That's part of who I am. Let me know there in the chat box. This is why I call my program Monetize You, right? Monetize You. Simply meaning it's important to take who you are, what you know, the skill set that you have. You are now the new university. Okay? You are the new university. I love what somebody said here in the chat box. You are the new university, right? How to get higher education almost free abroad, right? Now, here's the cool thing, Dr. King, right? So I have some information on getting scholarships, locally here in America. Now, guess what? I could become a promotional partner with you to talk about, hey, if you want to go abroad, here's how you can do it. But guess what? Because you know that that's a part of your duh, guess what? That's something that can now be monetized. All right. Now we can turn it into a book. We can turn it into different things. Boom. How to find an internship in international organizations worldwide. I love it. How to find internship in international organizations worldwide. Guess what? That in itself could be the subtitle, right? We can add a little sexy part on it for something that's eye-catchy. But guess what? That now becomes something that you can monetize. Now you can have the book, you can have the workbook, you can have a mentorship program, you can have a video vault where you can now do that. All right. A few more here. Boom. How to retire with infinite tax-free income with benefits you won't outlive. I love that. How to retire with infinite tax-free income with benefits you won't outlive. Man, that's powerful. Let me ask you, do you have any products that are making you money around that? Ms. Husser, Dr. King, you do a few? Cool. All right. Can you take a little advice on being able to ramp those up? Okay, she said no, Dr. King. Okay, awesome. All right, so here's what I want to do. Consulting. All right. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to get your questions together because I'm gonna do some live, ask Candace questions about any of this so that we can either create them, we can publish them, get them out there, and we can scale this up. All right. So let me share this with you. Many of you probably have already heard this. This is what I call I mean, if you followed me for a while, you probably heard me talk about this. This is what I call the speaker bridge. Okay. So let's say that this is a bridge. All right. So this is a bridge. And a lot of times, speakers want to be here, right? They want to be here. They want to be on stage to speak and to deliver their message. But what happens before the stage, right? So let's call this on the stage, right? Now, on the stage could be a panel, on the stage could be a workshop, on the page could be a host, an MC, on the stage could be many different things. But at the end of the day, a lot of times people don't think about what happens before the stage, right? And sometimes they don't think about what happens after the stage. Now, this idea came about from a few years ago. There was a bridge in, I think it's in Baltimore, Maryland, and the bridge was knocked down by a ship, right? A ship that was going through that harbor area. And the ship knocked the bridge down. Yep. Somebody say, remember that day? Right. And what happened was that the bridge collapsed. And what I've seen with a lot of speakers is that their bridge in a lot of places is broken. Okay. The bridge is broken. And for a lot of individuals, their bridge is broken in this first area around their promotions. So they say, hey, Candace, I want to get on stage. I want to speak. I want to share my message. I want to do this. They're like, they want to do this here. I want to be on the stage. But their speaker bridge is broken because they don't understand how to promote. Or you have people who have a great message, but they don't know how to present that message. Or maybe you have individuals who, once they present, don't realize that they can productize their message and information. So the question that I ask you as you're watching this live or watching this via replay, as you're watching this, where's your bridge broken? And be honest with me. Is it before the stage, around your promotions? Is it broken on the stage with your presentation? You can say, hey, my presentation could be a little stronger. Or is it broken after the stage? You know, is it broken after the stage around your productizing? All right. Let me know. Be honest with me. Where is your speaker bridge broken? Where is it broken? And what I find is that a lot of people have issues here promoting and have issues with being able to continue to make more and more income and more impact after the stage. Okay. After the stage. Somebody says perhaps before the stage. Okay. Perhaps. All right. And one of the ways you know it's perhaps or whenever it may be is because you can look at the results. Right. So we can go all in on promotions there and presentation and productization. I have a vault of information that you can get. If you go to monetizeu.co/vault, I'll make sure I give you guys the link there to talk about each one of these sections. All right. But in this session, I want to talk about productization. Okay, productizing your message, turning your message into money-making products. Now, here's why I want to talk about products, is because if you use and leverage products the right way, guess what? You can use products to promote yourself, right? And guess what? You can make money with products before the stage. You can make money with products while you're on the stage, and you can make money with products after the stage. Once you understand the strategy, once you understand the system. Okay? For example, you're going to speak somewhere, right? You're going to speak somewhere, and as you go to speak somewhere, you book a speaking engagement. Let's say they pay you $5,000 to speak, right? You have an audience of 500 people. Now, you haven't got to the place to do your presentation yet, but guess what? What if you took the time to sell a case of books to the audience or the event planner before you even got on stage? So let's say your book is $20. You choose to sell the book for $10 and pre-sell them 200 books, right? So now you've made $2,000, 10 times 200, $2,000. Yeah, 10 times, yeah, 200, $2,000 before you even got on stage to speak. So now you go from 5K to 7K, all before the stage. Then what about when you're on the stage? You're now speaking to your audience, and guess what? You now offer that book or you offer your mentorship program while you're on the stage. And then you do things right. When you come off the stage, you're now able to take those people in that room, because you have your products in place, and be able to um, move them over to after the stage. You know, somebody said, well, that offer has ended. Yeah, that offer has ended, but guess what? You talking about the vault? No, not the vault offer. I'll talk about that later. The vault offer hadn't ended. I don't think it's ended. Let me double check that one. Yeah, monetizeyou.co/vault. You can go in to get, there's a course on promotions before the stage, on the stage, and after the stage. I'll double check it and make sure that, oh, I think he was looking at the bundle. Let me go in here. Yes, they had a timer on that for another promotion. But let me you hit the main one, correct? To get the bundle. Yeah. Guess what? If you check it now, if you press that button now, guess what? I'll open it up just for you. Okay. All right. You can get all three of these for separately, or you can get the whole thing. Okay. Thank you for catching that for me. Yep. Appreciate you. All right. So, but let's talk about your products, right? Let's talk about your products. How can we do a better job of leveraging these before the stage, on the stage, and after the stage? All right. You guys let me know. Let me know, those here live, those that are watching this by replay. Let me know, what big problems, what big challenges do you have where your products are concerned? Okay. What big problems do you have around your products? All right. And I had a few questions that people wanted me to address ahead of time. And I'll drop, for those here, I'll drop the link that I mentioned earlier in the chat box. I'll put it here for everybody on the vault. Awesome. So somebody said, boom, issue is writing sales copy. Great, great, great. All right. What if I give you, would it be cool if I give you a cool way to write sales copy? Hmm? It would? Okay. Cool. Yes, absolutely cool. All right. I'm going to give you a few different frameworks. You can work on these, use these. The first framework. Now, here's the reality of writing copy. All right. Writing copy is almost as if you are a prophet. Okay. I'm a church boy, so I'm going to go here, right? As if you are a prophet who's prophesying to the individual of what their life will look like when they take advantage of the product. Okay. So let's talk about a product versus an offer. Okay. An offer more so speaks of the transformation. Okay. So anytime you're writing sales copy, whether it's for a free offer or paid offer or proposal or whatever, I want you to think about transformation. Okay. So an offer in itself is not just the product, an offer is the communication of the transformation that's going to take place when a person takes advantage of your offer. All right. A product is the how and the what to do to lay hold to get the transformation. All right. So the product in itself delivers, excuse me, delivers the transformation. You got it? So, for example, the link that I just showed you there, right? How to turn your message into a money making machine. How to turn your message into a money making machine. Guess what? Get booked, build your brand, and grow your speaking business fast. What am I doing? I'm prophesying of what your life will look like from this offer, which has this product involved. Okay. So the first thing you want to think about is that you want to think about what are you prophesying? Okay. All right. Now here's another word besides prophecy that you want to think about when writing sales copy is this word possibility. Okay. Possibility. And I'm gonna actually start on a new page here. Well, I'll keep it here. Okay, right. So you want to talk about what's the possibility, right? What's possible when a person goes through your transformation process? What's possible when a person utilizes your mentorship program? What's possible when a person reads your book? What's possible when they do your step by step framework? So, when writing sales copy, you want to think about and communicate the possibility. Okay. The second thing that you want to communicate is the pain. Okay. Is the pain. What is your customer currently? What are their biggest pains? What are their biggest frustration? What are their not biggest like what's their big frustration or the biggest frustration or the big challenge that they are experiencing? All right. For example, one of the big one of the big challenges that I see with speakers is not knowing how to do what we're doing tonight, right? How to turn your message into paid products, or how to make money from your paid products, or how to sell your paid products. In this case, hey, not really sure how to write appropriate copy to get a person to buy my product. So, guess what? That's the pain. So, you want to communicate the pain in the pain that the so let me give you to another way. You can write this down. Somebody write this in the chat box for me, right? One person with one pain, or well, one person, one pain, one problem, one solution. One person with one problem, and your product is the one solution. You got it? One person, one pain, one problem, one solution. The pain and the problem go together. Okay? So now in your sales copy, you want to communicate the possibility. You want to communicate the pain or the problem that they're experiencing. But guess what? You want to also position, that's another P, right? You want to position yourself as the expert in that area. Okay? So remember earlier, I positioned myself, right, as the go-to authority in this space by doing what? By showing you, you saw how I positioned that, right? I went from this book to the other book to the products to the courses, right? And by doing that multiple times, wouldn't you say that I positioned myself as the authority in that space, right? My positioning of saying, hey, I was in school for 25 years. Hey, I was raised in a middle class broke family. Hey, I ended up landing my dream job. Hey, I ended up going to school absolutely free. Hey, I ended up working at NASA. Guess what? That is positioning myself for this product that goes there. Right? Now, guess what? Your you want to position it. Maybe you can position it based off of how many years you worked in the field. Okay. Or for example, let me go back up here to it. Husser, you mentioned you had a product, right? You had a product. And why are you able to talk about that product? Why are you the go-to person in the area? Why can you position yourself? Let me scroll back up to your product here. So, right, here it is. How to retire with infinite tax-free income with benefits you won't outlive. Right? So if that's your product, or that's the solution, guess what? I see it. I love it. You're saying that you can position yourself because you're licensed to sell and educate your clients. And how can you position that, right? Through your stories, through your experiences. Guess what? In 21 states. Not all 50, but 21. I love it. Okay. But guess what? Now you can position yourself. Hey, here's why I'm the expert. I'm licensed. I have people that I've worked with. I've not only done this in one state, I've done this in 21 states. So when you're writing sales copy, guess what? You are taking the time to talk about the possibility, the pain, right? You're positioning yourself. And then another thing that you want to do outside of price, I'll put price here just for, I'll put price last, okay? But guess what? Possibility, pain, position. Now you want to talk about your process, okay? Your process. What's your process? She said, I don't just sell, I educate so they can make an informed, unbiased decision. I love it, right? So now, because you can educate them on that, right? You don't sell it, you educate them so they can make an informed, unbiased decision. Now, guess what? What is your process, right? What's your framework or your process? So now, when you're writing sales copy, possibility, pain, position, here's the process. All right? What the process is, when you want to use this process, and why you want to use this process. That's what you write about in your sales copy, right? What the process is, when you want to use this process, why you want to use this process. Now, guess what? When they pull out their credit card and they buy your product, inside of your product is the how, okay? The step by step of the process, all right? So when you're writing sales copy, is this good? Is this good so far? Let me know. Let me know on writing sales copy. Is this good so far? Is this good? She said, yes, with all the S's, okay? All right. So we're going to talk about the possibility, the pain, the position, the process. Then guess what? You want to talk about benefits and features. I call it B and F, right? Benefits and features. What's the benefit? The benefit of going through this is going to help you make a better decision as far as retirement. The benefit of doing this is making sure that when you get of age, you won't be fearing where your money's going to come from. The benefit of this is by having this in your life, in your family's life, it won't have your kids fearing after you transition on, right? Those are the benefits. But guess what? The features of your product, which you want to talk about, I love it. The benefit is peace of mind. Okay, that's one of the benefits. But guess what? Financial security. So now in your sales copy, you're writing about financial security. You're writing about the peace of mind. You're going and stating all of the benefits. Now the feature, this is a book. Feature, this is an 8-video product. Feature, you have 3 live coaching calls, Q&A coaching calls. Feature, you're now going to be in a community of other people to keep you accountable for reaching your goals. All right. So in your sales copy, you want to be able to talk about the benefits and the features. Okay. So possibility, pain, position, process, benefit, and features. And then you want to price anchor it. Okay. So you have your price. Price is a part of the sales copy, but I also want you to think about price anchoring. Okay. Price anchoring. All right. Price anchoring can say, price anchoring. Right now, today, on average, it's about $40,000 for 1 year of college. And you think about your son or daughter in school for the next 4 to 5 years, $40,000 times 4 to 5 years, about $200,000 for a college education. So here's the question. Do you have $200,000 laying around to pay your son or daughter's college education? Or what if I gave you the information on how you can go to school and find the money for free money that's available, so you can now save the $200,000 versus spend the $200,000. And you can do that by getting access to this book, Scholarship Secrets Revealed, right? For only $20. So now, would you want to invest $20 to save you $200,000? Or would you want to keep doing what you've already been doing and now have to find a way to pay the $200,000? You see how I did price anchoring there? Was that good or was that good, right? Or price anchoring, right? How much is this bottle of water? Shout out to Smart Water, not necessarily giving them a commercial, right? But how much is this bottle of water in Atlanta? How much is this bottle of water in Texas? How much is this bottle of water in Arizona? How much is this bottle of water when you're in the desert? How much is this bottle of water when you're dehydrated? How much is this bottle of water worth to you now when you may be dying of thirst? And guess what? Regardless of what the price is, I'm going to buy this bottle of water, or a person's going to buy this bottle of water if they're dying for thirst. So when you're writing your sales copy, you want to write, price anchor in, okay? And then you want to go on some scarcity and take advantage of it now, and then give them an opportunity to be able to buy it now. Was that helpful? Was that helpful? Right, and I'll even show you here. I'm not the best sales copy person in the world, but I've learned a few things, right? So one cool thing is that, you want to have, this is what I call above the fold of any sales page. Above the fold, which means above the fold reference. Remember back in the day when people used to read the newspaper? You get a newspaper, right? Probably like this, the newspaper, and you would open it up, or as you're walking through the store, you would see the headline on the front page, right? And then this was called the fold, which now you had to open up to the next page. That's what it is on the website. Having the fold, above the fold. So all the key information there and the opportunity for people to make a decision right there. And then now you got some testimonials, you got some proof. That's another thing that you want to have in your sales copy, proof there, right? And then be able to, give some positioning, give some information on the benefits of being able to take advantage of that, more proof, right? A section on positioning. And so when you're writing your sales copy, you want to be able to take each of these elements that I've mentioned here and just address each of those in your sales copy. Now, guess what? It doesn't have to be an elaborate sales page. Sometimes simplicity is better, right? It could be a Google Doc. It could be a Microsoft Word document stating these things. And then at the bottom of it, hey, click here to take advantage of it. All right. So guess what? Now, here's another cool thing here. The things that you will use in your sales copy, you can also use them on the stage and after the stage. Matter of fact, you could also use it before the stage. So if you're positioning your products before you have the opportunity, you can talk about these. On the stage, you can talk about doing your presentation, doing your podcast, during your workshop, and then also using these same things after the stage, right? So not only is it in sales copy, but it's also in sales communication. All right. That was a great question. Great question. All right, let me know what other questions or challenges you're having around turning your message into money. Shout out to those that are watching this live, those that have just jumped in, those that are watching this by replay. We're talking all about how to turn your message into money-making products. Now, let me give you this while you're here. All right. What if I could show you guys how to make 100K? All right, cool. Let me find it. I only got a few more minutes here. Do you want me to show you how to make 100K? Let me know. If not, I won't. I won't. All right, so let's do it with this next question. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up here. Let me do it with this next question. Where did she go? All right, here we go. So the next question is, please, how can I take the current book into a workbook and perhaps a course? Okay. How can I take the current book into a workbook and perhaps the course? So, Dr. King, stay with me. Let us know what's the name of the book. All right. What's the exact name of the book? All right. What's the name of the book? And the book helps us with what? The book helps us with what? All right. Humanity Unveiled. All right. Humanity Unveiled. So I'm assuming that's the title of the book, correct? That's the title of the book. All right. Um, what's the subtitle? What's the subtitle? So the name of the book is Humanity Unveiled. The subtitle is what? Remember, the subtitle is this book gonna help you with this, this, and this. The title is the eye catchy, the sexy part. It is on my picture. It's on my picture. Let me see if I can look at your picture. Um, let me see if I can spotlight this for everybody. Spotlight this real quick. Add spotlight. Let me remove my spotlight so I can see it, blow it up. All right, so Humanity Unveiled, a collection of unexpected encounters that reveal the human spirit in us all. Humanity Unveiled, Dr. Ariel King, a collection of unexpected encounters that reveal the human spirit in us all. All right. So if that is the subtitle and we have a book, how can we turn it into a workbook? All right. Here's a thought. How can we take what do you want people to get out of it? Okay. What do you want people to get out of it? Like, what do you want people to accomplish? And so, what I would do on turning this into a workbook, I would take the time. All right. So, let's say, for example, if your book speak about certain experiences, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, these experiences that people are going through, a collection of different things, right? So, your book will talk about these 5 experiences, or your book will talk about these different collections. Your workbook could help people examine, ponder, quantify, qualify, help them in their mind decode, help them journal or draft, help them to take action, help them document their action, and help them be accountable. Okay? So, based on what's in the book, the content in the book, when it's transferred over to a workbook, it now can help them examine themselves, examine your process, right? To help them ponder, to help them quantify, to help them qualify the information. In your workbook, I love it because at the end of the day, decode, journal, draft, take action, become accountable. All of these are verbs. So your workbook is more like an action guide. You got it? And what I like to do, I like to take a chapter in the book to coincide with the chapter in the workbook. So they kind of go, right? So this may be the what, the why, the how. Now, this is the action. This is the homework. Okay. This is the tool that's going to help them get the get what they need out of this. You got that? Now, how do we, let me make sure you just give me a little yes, a little nod. Or you say she was speaking. I'm sorry. Let me turn my audio up here. I'm sorry if he was speaking. Thank you. Let me adjust my my audio here. If you were speaking. All right, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Dr. Ari, you still there? Is she speaking? All right, one more time. All right, there you go. Go ahead. Awesome. For those of you guys that didn't hear that, she was saying that the 19 chapters in her book, they go along with each word. And so now the workbook can now expand on that. But the bigger thing is now getting them to take action on that word. So now we have 9 chapters in the book. We can have 9 chapters in the workbook. All right. So if we go back to the original question, how can we now turn this from a book to a workbook and perhaps a course? All right. Now, here's the beautiful thing about it. You want to understand and you want to nurture people's learning style. All right. Some people learn by hearing, right? They're auditory learners. Some people learn by through visual learning. Some people learn through touch and taking action, kinesthetic learning. So with our course, we can now speak visually, auditory, to the auditory learning, to the visual learning, and the kinesthetic learning. And, one of the things I like to do is to not just talk and teach, but get people to implement. So now we could actually turn the 19 chapters into 19 sessions, or maybe we can take, 19 of them, almost 20. And then now we could deal with 4 of those in one module. Module 2 could have the next 4. Module 3 could have the next 4. Module 4 could have the next 4. Module 5 can have the next 5. And now your course is almost as if you are speaking live to them about their problem. Okay? So now your course, where you show up as the professor, right? Your course goes into deeper things that you won't be able to do in the book, in the workbook. You guys see that? So now we go from a book to a workbook to a course. All right. Now, I'm going to use this example on how we can turn this into a $100,000 product. All right. So I'm going to come over here, share this screen over here. All right. And what we want to do now, let's say we have this book. And Dr. Ariel King, you can tell me right now, how much are you selling the book for? How much are you selling the book for? How much are you selling the book for currently? Dr. Ariel going once. All right, I'm going to assume for you. Let's say it's $25. Okay, cool, $25. I was right on, all right? $25. Now, let's say we have a workbook as well. We'll put our workbook right here. And I'm going to share this screen. That way you guys can also see it clear here. All right, so we have a workbook. And let's say the workbook in itself is $40. So we have our book, we have our workbook. And let's just say we focused on selling 200 books a month. All right. So 200 books a month would be 7 books a day, which would easily take this to 50 books a week. Right. And out of those books, what if we upsold 50% of the people that purchased the book purchased the workbook? So now we go from $5,000 made that month off books, and then an additional $4,000 made off of workbooks. All right. And then let's say we took the course on this. So the hard copy of the book is $47. Okay, so let's keep it at 25 right now. We can bump it up. Right? And then now, what about if we had a course and we sold that course for a low course, let's say if it's $247. And then out of that, we sold, let's say we sold 25 of those per month. Just doing that per month, 200 books, 100 workbooks, 25 course sales, that now puts us at $15,000 per month. And now we're making $182,000. You guys see how easy that was? All right. So now, if we can get people to purchase the book, then we can upsell, let's say 50% of them to get the workbook. And then out of those, we get another, out of the 200 that purchased the book, we'll say 10% of them purchase the course. Now we have $13,000, 167 for the whole year. But what if we turn the course into a group program? Now, here's the beautiful thing about having each of these. This is a do-it-yourself type of situation. right? Do it yourself, meaning they can read the book by themselves. They can do the workbook by themselves. They can go through the course by themselves. But let's just say you wanted to work with a small group of people for $2,500 to help them get results. Okay? Let's just say, and you sold 4 of those every single month. So now you're making close to $300,000 off of just this book, this workbook, this course, and this dream coaching program. What do you guys think? All right. So you guys see how we can take a simple, powerful message that she knows, we create a book from a workbook, we can productize this, and now it helps us reach our goals. Was that good or was that good? Amazing, right? So, when are you going to start? Right? Now here's the thing that I realize is that your income goals, your impact goals are based off of just writing them down. The things that you need to focus on now is trying to figure out, okay, how can I sell 7 books a day? How can I sell 3 workbooks a day? How can I get one person to buy my course today? How can I get one person to buy my course a week? Nothing else matters when you are focused on putting this product into a process so you can sell it. Now, here's the reality of it. I want you guys to put this in the chat box as I close out here. When you sell, you transform. When you sell, you impact people. Selling is serving. Selling is a part of transformation. You must give people an opportunity to transact. So you have to create products so people can transact, so they can be transformed. You got it? People do not value free stuff. The people in my life, the people who work with me, the people that come to my events, the people that purchase my programs, they have the most transformation because they transacted with my product. So if you want to make more impact, you have to make more offers and sales to impact people. Selling is not about money. Selling is about transformation. You have to give them an invitation to transact with your product so they can value themselves and invest in themselves so they can get a return on their investment. Right? So it would be wrong for me if I didn't give those on this call or those on this replay an opportunity to transact, right? So we talked all about products, right? Talked all about products. And so what I'm gonna give you guys the opportunity to take advantage of my Monetize After the Stage product, okay? So I have a course on monetizing before the stage, a course on monetizing on the stage, and monetizing after the stage. And I'm gonna drop this link here in the chat box. or you can go to monetizeu.co/vault, right? monetizeu.co/vault. Now, here's the beautiful thing about this. Once you go down here, you can decide on which one you want, right? Because we're talking about products, turn your audience into clients, turn your audience into community, and turn your audience into consistent cash flow. Guess what? I show you how to build and sell your own products and programs, how to set up your back end offers, how to write and sell your books, right? How to automate your revenue long after you finish the stage. And when you go through the vault, I'm going to give you access to a course that I have called Money Making Products. I'm going to give you access to Money Making Books, where I show you how to monetize your story, how to publish your book, how to print your book. My buddy that's on here, Dr. Trigg, we showed him how to publish, how to sell his book before he even published his book, right? He was making sales on the book before he even hit print. Then you go there, we're going to show you how to turn message into money, and then also give you all the scripts and the templates to create money-making products. All right. Now, if you want access to this, you can go here and get access to just that course. All right. Now, if you say, Cantus, if you want just the course, you can get that course alone. But if you want to bundle it, hit the red button here, and then now you can get access to all three. Okay, you can get access to all three. All right, so just go to monetizeu.co/vault. Why? Because I go step by step by step where you can do it yourself to be able to understand how to produce books, how to record, how to set up your audio program, how to set up your video program, how to upload into your portal, how to upload it into your funnels to be able to sell your products. Okay, so go to monetizeu.co/vault. Okay, monetizeu.co/vault to take advantage of that. And I'll drop the link here in the group where you guys can see it. And I want to make sure we have that there. Just go to monetizeu.co/vault. monetizeu.co/vault. Somebody asked me about pay options. Hey, send me an email. Send me an email at cantus@cantussimmons.com. Send it to me tonight. Okay? Send it to me tonight at cantussimmons.com. And yeah. And we'll talk about if you need a pay option. Okay? I'll be gracious to do that. I'll be gracious to do that. All right? Was this helpful? Was this helpful? Was this helpful? All right? Listen, your message, your duh, is the thing. I believe your duh is part of your purpose in life. Your duh is the thing that causes you to make impact and make income. Had a dear brother of mine earlier today told me he has some transitions in his job, transitions in his finances. Guess what? Hey, we got to get money. We got to make impact income, right? He can get another job to support his family. But guess what? We've all been in situations where we needed to get mama's house fixed. Maybe we needed a medical procedure done. The kids needed some shoes. The kids need to go to college. What if you take a product and you wrap it around a purpose that you have, right? The kids want to go to summer camp. All right, cool. Let me go sell so many of these books or courses. You know what I'm saying? I got to pay a bill. I want to knock out a debt. Guess what? We turn our dove, our expertise, our message into money-making products. And the cool thing about it is that when we have these products in place, guess what? We can now use our products before we get another opportunity on the stage. We can use our products now when we're on stage as giveaways, as other opportunities on the stage, and then we can take our products and leverage them after the stage. This is why money-making products, if done correctly, can make you money before the stage, on the stage, and after the stage. All right? And if there's any way that I can continue to help you, hey, go over to monetize.co/vault to take advantage of that. If you say, Candace, you know what? I would love to talk about you, to not only maybe go through the course itself, but would love to, set up a call with you. And I'll put this link in here. monetizeu.co/call. If you say, Candace, just want to, I ain't gonna say pick my brain. I'll never say that. But if you want to schedule a call and jump on the phone to talk about how we can make this happen for you. Maybe you don't want to do it yourself, but go over to, let me pull it up here. Yeah, go over to monetizeu.co/call. Okay. monetizeu.co/call. You come here, schedule a call, click here, pick your time and day that's available for you. And we can jump on the phone to discuss. You say, hey, I don't want to do it myself. Can you do it for me? Can you help me do it? Hey, go over to monetizeu.co/call. All right. Has this been good? Let me know in the chat box. Let me know in the chat box, has this been good for you? On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? How would you rate the call? All right, I love it. Great 100. Great 100. 100, 100, 100. Awesome, 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 awesome. Now here's 1,000. I love it. I'll take the 1,000. Okay, I'll take the 1,000. I appreciate that so much. Now listen, if there's any way that I can help you and support you, then I would love to do that. And I'm always irrationally passionate about serving speakers, because your message is designed to change the world. All right. Thank y'all so much for showing up. Again, I'm Candace Simmons, the coolest guy with 7.25 fingers. And remember, your message is designed to change the world. Hey, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Working with Candace has been the best investment I've ever made.
So I had no idea how to put together a keynote speech. I didn't know the art or the science. After hearing Candace and all of the awesome tips that he gave us, I now have more confidence to not just craft my keynote speech, but also be able to deliver it in a way I know my audience will appreciate.
This has been one of the best 3 days that I have probably gained so much more than I ever would probably in 3 years, to be honest.
I've had other coaches, but the thing that stands out most about Candace is you know that he genuinely wants you to succeed. He does what he does in a way to ensure that there's no person left behind.
I think the thing that made the most impact on my business is hearing Candace say,
Your product solves the problem.
My experiences turn that into a story that can assist someone else.
The presentation, the marketing, how you really connect with your client and take them from point A to point B.
he's so good.
Because Candace is the one.
Because I realized people fail without a framework and they struggle without a system. So when Candace walked me through his framework and his system to build a 6-figure speaking and coaching business,
It takes you step by step to teach you how to implement the things that you learn so that you can be more effective in what your impact has to be in this world.
What you do before the stage, on the stage, after the stage, every facet of your business is taken care of.
and it's been the best decision I've ever made as an entrepreneur in 20 years of corporate, nonprofit, military experience. Working with Candace has been the best investment I've ever made.
You go hours past the time that's allotted because he really cares that much. And for me, that was big. Nobody really cares that much.
Not only is he the man in front of his business, but I know Candace to be the man or the machine behind a lot of other people's businesses.
Like, he's gonna put you in the know, no darkness, no secrets. He gives it all to you. You can't lose with Candace.
Makeover,